Well, greetings again. This is Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm going to stress this thing that we're doing these days. We're using orthodontics to do many things that you could do with orthodontics. Like restorative dentistry. We pull the teeth from the back of the mouth. We use the wisdom teeth, and a lot of people kind of like spare tires, and we fill up the space where they have bad teeth in front. And this is something that I think people haven't been doing properly. I know in some of the orthodontic schools they don't want to do that. They just refuse to do it. And so we're going and showing how it can be done. Now, class 3 double jaw surgery is something you can do with orthodontics. And I've got about 8 or 10 cases that prove that. And one of them that is out there now has been out for 37 years. We were doing this type of work nearly 40 years ago. We did few of these cases before I got to this bad one that you see, this lady who works for Southwest Airlines. And it has held up 37 years. And every one that we did, they do not collapse because we advance the mandible as we pull the lower teeth back. You crowd up the tongue, but we gave the tongue room by advancing the maxillary teeth. Same as you do with surgery, you do the same blooming thing. And we could do that, and I think you could cover about 90% of this surgical stuff at just a mild amount of money for doing the orthodontic part compared with what the surgical cost in hospital expense and the danger of doing it. These cases probably today run $100,000 to do one like that. So I'm going to show another one this morning, one that we came up with. And I sat down with the parents and I went through it. I showed them everything, the advance, the best way to do this case, and how we could do it. And they said, well, that makes sense to me. And so I sent a note to her dentist to extract the lower 6-year molars, and he sent me back. He said, I'm not about to take the 6-year molars out on this case, and you're off your rocker or something. He wasn't rude to me at all, but anyway, he refused to do that. So I got the parents back again, went over the case, explained again, told her what her dentist naturally did not want to take out her permanent 6-year molars, even though she had good wisdom teeth back behind. And they said, well, it makes sense. We want to do this rather than go through this surgical procedure. And so I called him back again. I talked with him, and he said, well, I don't really want anything to do with this case. And I said, well, do you mind if I have somebody else extract the 6-year molars? And he said, I don't care. I don't want anything to do with it, but if the parents want it, and you've got it written down, and you've got it prove that they know what you're doing here, go ahead. And so we did. And so I had her go in to see him every few months, and I would see him at dental meetings, say, well, how's our surgical case going? And he finally, this case worked out almost perfect. And he finally came across and agreed with me that this is the way to do these cases. So let me get off here and get going on this particular case. It's a young lady. Now, this is not a drastic class 3 case, as you could look with the profile here, straight on. She's closed her eyes as I took that picture. But if you look here, when she bites together, her lower teeth are out in front of her upper teeth. And so they were prepared for an operation to advance the maxilla and bring the mandible back like you normally do in surgical that. And this is her models. You can see how the teeth here now are back behind the lower teeth, and that's a far, I mean, she could stick her jaw further out, but she couldn't get it back and past here. Now this tooth, this 6-year molar, is in a super class 1 relation. It needs to be back about long here, for it to fit properly. So we take this tooth out, and she had another thing that helped us a little. The cuspids coming in there, we're going to have to advance that for them. So it's not a real bad class 3 case. Now on a real bad one, you've got to run the interference here with a lip bumper, so you move these teeth forward a lot, and then you've got to take these teeth back and keep the angle on them down when you're doing a bad case on this. But let's get going. There's a lot of pictures on here, and we got the old surgeon, told him to take these out, and they don't bat an eye. He pulled the teeth out and got them. Now she had a narrow maxilla, showing a mouth breathing problem, probably had something to do with the class 3. So we put a palatal separator on, and now we're going in and extract these, get this old surgeon to take these teeth out, and so he takes them out. Now we'll line all this up in here, and we'll be pulling it back. As we pull it back, we pull these back by pulling the upper teeth forward. That's the secret of doing it. See, now let me show you this case. We set it up like that, and we're going backward with these teeth down here, and we're going forward. We've got this hooked up. We're wearing class 3 elastics, pulling this back, coming in here. We class 3. I don't see the elastic only here, but that's what we're doing. Now we're opening this gap for to get the cuspids down in this area. Let me get on here down the line. Now we're moving the 6-year molars in the back, the second and third molar. We're bringing them up, and we bring them up, we pull this back, and just play one against the other. Plus you need further than that, you come in with elastics like this, and you're pulling these teeth forward, and you're taking these teeth backward, and it works. And I want to get this across. We have not heard a word out of any surgeon that disagrees with this, but I'm sure this would affect, and the insurance companies that pay this big price for doing these double jaw surgeries should look into this. I really believe that 90% of these surgeries can be done orthodontically if you get to them before they get out the wisdom teeth, or if you just don't, you end up with just one tooth back on the molar area. So that's not good there. All right, well, let's get on. We put a palatal separator in, and when you submit these teeth, you sit these bands and you take an impression, and then you pull the bands off and put them back inside where they were on the teeth, and then you build this rig right here. And these are cemented really firm, and the secret of that, get those teeth where they go up in there all the way. Let them wear this thing uncemented for about a week, and then you take it out and you got to wash it real good because it doesn't have an odor to it. Food that gets up in there sits there for a week, but the teeth get lined up where you can seat it good, and then we seat that, and you see we've opened it that far already. So this was a situation where she had most likely a mouth breathing problem to start with here, and the tongue stays in the lower arch, spreads it out, and these teeth lap sometimes go down between the lower teeth rather than fit in their right. So we set this on there. Now a palatal separator will take the teeth apart this way, and you don't have to put the arch wire in here with the buccal root torque if you're going to enlarge this with a bar without doing the palatal separator. Then you have to put root torque on those teeth to bring them out. And that means you put something in that tips the root out, and then you pull the crown out with the large arch wire. But if you just put the large arch wire, pull it out, it goes like this. And so with the palatal separator, it holds the teeth rigid and carries them out in this form right here. Now these palatal separators, I looked today, a lot of time they'll just have a bar across here and maybe back here with one tooth, and that does not do it, because these teeth will not, they'll just bring the crown out and leave the molar, the root in. You've got to bring the root out with a rectangular wire in addition to the large buccal root torque of what we call our Big Daddy arch wire out here. And it pulls the crowns out, but you got to have something that brings the roots out too. But in this case, you don't have to do that if you use a palatal separator, but you can't make one work if you just got a bar across there. It doesn't do it. It'll carry the 6-year molar, and that's it. Now, so we're pulling these teeth forward. As they come forward, they're pulling these teeth backward. Now you can do a certain amount of that with elastic chain, or you can catch the upper teeth and pull them forward by coming down from the upper molar to these teeth and pulling them back with making the upper molars go forward. And that's, if you're going to move it a long way, you need to come from these molars back here and bring it down. So these teeth go back as these teeth go forward. So when you crowd the tongue out of its space here, you give it space up above. And that's why you do the double jaw. Frequently, where the mandible is sticking out like this, the tongue is used to that. And if you just shorten the jaw, just take the jaw back, and then you rob the tongue of a lot of its space, and it'll fight back, and it'll relapse the thing. I know some good old surgeons, and they will hardly do this without doing the surgery of the upper jaw at the same time the lower jaw is being done. We erase those lines. Now, to explain this a little further, you need this wisdom teeth down here when you do that. When you take these teeth out, we're going to bring these back part of the way, and we'll pull this the other part of the way till we get it to the class 1 relation, and then this wisdom tooth will come in back here, it'll have room. Right now it doesn't look like that young lady would have room for her wisdom teeth, so they would be thrown away. So we do this, and this saves these wisdom teeth on the bottom, and now these on the top can come in. If they don't have anything, you can remove them later. Now you can watch this space go back and this will come forward, as we start this treatment. So here's the palatal separator in here, and we've got a bar of this tooth going out with it too, and these teeth all go out bodily like that. And we're going to open the gap of this cuspid and come in here, and we're going to bring this back, and we'll bring these teeth forward here, and these, all these are going to go back like that. And that takes care of the surgery. Now, this type of surgery, if you scrubbed in with them, I have done that. As the old surgeons, I worked with a lot of them. And I went in with one at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we worked on it till 1 o'clock that day. And we took the teeth up above here, they cut them loose up above the supply, and they come in, and we needed to reduce the height of it. They took shears and shaved off about this much of the sinus area, this part in here. They took this out like that and left this alone. And then you push that up where you want it and wire it in or put it in with little plates, and that reduces the vertical height of the face, which is sometimes better done with surgery than depending on the case to close down. All right, we're going to erase that, and we go on. Now here we've got the molars out, and we're separating this palate, widen it out, and we're going to slide this with this 12-year molar up here, and that means bring the root too. It doesn't do that. Now some people don't know how to bring this tooth forward. You have an arch wire going in, and you put a little deal right between here, and you run up and you run this wire down like that. And you raise this wire up. If you just put it in there, it will kick this crown back and make the roots go forward. So we tie it in from this right here, and then that keeps the crown from going back, and this force here brings the root forward. And you can watch this on this case. You can see these roots come up forward, and you don't have to put an extension down here to make these roots go. You just have the single arch wire does that. And that's the trick of doing this type of stuff. Now here we're going. Now they've got a little loop over here you don't see on that. Now we pull this one. We pull this one hard, and we leaned it down too much. But watch, we had to come back and put more of this down force on it. And it comes up. Now the next X-ray, I think we'll see these teeth are the same distance. And you see that little arch bar in there. I hope people understand you can make the roots of a tooth follow the crown if you just come around, drop down like that, and then you take this off like that. You put it in the arch bars here, you bring both of them up, and it'll just move the roots here. If you hold this where it is, and we tie it off here, we tie it back, and that won't let the crown go back, and the roots come forward, and you can move these teeth bodily, and you'll come up like this with the root structure coming right with the crown. Now that's a trick that a lot of dentists don't understand, how they can move a tooth and bring the root structure with it. So you're going to have a smaller wire. You can't do that with a big daddy arch wire on there. You put that small wire in there. Now see these teeth? Look where they are today. This side here was way ahead to start with. It slowed us down because we tilted these roots went back, and we had to come back. So it's slower getting here than the one here. I'm going to back that up and look at it. Look where that was. That's 9/22 of 87, right there. And this is 3/21 of 88. In other words, I didn't take a Panorex that long time. And we separated the palate, cut everything off, and left this in there to catch hold of it, to bring it. We were bringing these teeth forward, and this teeth is coming up. Now this wisdom tooth easily will fit right in there, and that's what happened. Now this one we got ahead, but it was slow. We had to bring the roots back, so it's a little behind that. Now let's see the next, the 7 rest. We've got this one here and this one here. These are second molars. These are wisdom teeth. Now, on young people, you've got to put a retainer in and hold this tooth where it is. In other words, you put something back here that won't let the retainer drop down, and you put the retainer underneath this enough to not let this tooth erupt down, and then this one will erupt into that. So you got to remember that, to put a retainer with something on this retainer that doesn't let the tooth go down, and it holds it, and the retainer won't go down, and you build this underneath there to keep this tooth right up there where it is. And if you, like on this side, there is no wisdom tooth over here, this one may have to be removed. And that's the way we finish the case. Now, we've got this up here. Here we are at 89. These wisdom teeth, you don't have to keep the braces on. We had some of it on here, but we're holding that tooth up with a retainer, and the wisdom teeth will come up underneath that, like that. And then this one, eventually, we'll have to extract that tooth up there. Now, this is getting around this extensive surgical procedure of a double jaw surgery in treating class 3 cases. Now here we are, 91. We've been out of braces, but she's still wearing this. This tooth dropped a little bit, but not much. And now this wisdom teeth are running to each other and hold each other up. We've got overjet, overbite, everything lined up in here. And this is what you want. Now this tooth here can be easily removed, or you can just leave it there if it doesn't bother them. In case something happens, one of these, you can use it. But she did not have one on the other side. Now, let's go. I don't know whether I've got another Panorex or not. Well, here, I'm going to go back now and show you what we did. We made room, we got the cuspids in, and these teeth are out in front. We're going to level this back. You see this deal right here? That's that little deal. This, we went here, we put it up here. It pulled that tooth forward, and it keeps them level now. And see that wire pulling this forward, bringing those roots forward down here. It pulls that up. And it will, as it does that, it's pulling down, and this, finally the occlusion brings the teeth together. Now up above, we cut the palatal separator off, took these bands off, lined these teeth up. That's a poor picture, but you can see it's much better. Now we're bringing the teeth together like this. And every few weeks I would ask her dentist, I'd send her into him several times during the treatment of this case. And then I'd see him at the dental meeting. I'd say, well, how's our case doing? And finally the man came across and he said, "This is wonderful. This is something that can be done without the surgery." And this is what I'm trying to get across to everybody. I don't care where you are in any part of the world, you can do this type of orthodontics. And I call this the straight wires, or figured out better ways to do straight wire orthodontics. All these brackets have torque, tip, and in and out in them, just like straight wire. But we do a lot of things that straight wire doesn't do. And this is what I'm trying to get the people in our American Orthodontic Society to do it. I mean, this is the way the future of orthodontics will be done, even though they told me in the orthodontic school, I said, teach these general dentists orthodontics. Show them about what can be done so they don't make ridiculous mistakes. And they said, we're not going to teach general dentists or pediatric dentists orthodontics. And I just told them, well, if God helps me, I am going to do it. And so I'm still trying to get this across. And I've been working on this for at least 40 years. I was doing some of these cases 40 years ago. And I don't know who's listening at this. We have a system of orthodontics that you can do any tooth movement that you can think about, or I could think about. Somebody may come up with something, an ankylosed tooth, we crack them loose and we'll be able to move them all right. And if they're just in a group of teeth, we can move the whole group and they'll move with them. So I hope this gets across to people all over this world how you can do orthodontics. Now, I am getting old, and I fell the other day and knocked a knot on my head, and I even slipped down and have to have somebody help me up. I've lost my strength. But I want to get this message across to anybody needing orthodontics anywhere in the world. And there's so much conflict going on now between Russia and the Ukraine, and I had some Ukraine people stay at our house one whole summer and sang. And I have a spot in my heart for the Ukraine people, and I hope that we will insist on saving this country and don't let Russia push them off the map. Russia is the biggest land mass of any nation, and that is a lot more than the United States. And so I am really for the Ukrainian people, and I'm always for the Jewish people. They were working so hard over there, and let them teach. If the people had listened to the Jewish people and helped them, the desert would be farmed nowadays. And I look at what happened in the Jews when Solomon died. His son came on and was going to be so strict with the Jewish people. 10 of the 12 tribes melted into the people that live in that area. So you could get the Palestinians and the other Muslim people in that area now that they've got Jewish blood in them, if you would check it out. So anyway, I kicked that in the bottom of this case, and I am concerned that we stop killing people, the young people in Russia. Just terrible. In Ukraine, there's so many young people died. You see the women out trying to find a man to live with, And so it's really ridiculous to see so much death going on a ridiculous dadgum thing that Putin is trying to do. So I tell you, Putin wouldn't like me at all. If I lived in Russia, I'd be in prison probably. And then they let the prisoners get out there and get shot. But the prisoner was somebody that said a sentence against Putin, and so they sent him to prison. And if he doesn't kill them there, he wrecks their airplane and kills them. Now, this is just my idea as a dentist looking at what's happening in Russia and what's happening in Palestine. And all that 400 miles of tunnels, if they'd have spent 1/3 of that amount trying to learn what the Jewish people are doing with agriculture, they would not be in the shape they're in today. So I'm going to shut up on that, but let's finish this case out. That's a bad picture there, but you see the seat closing together there. And we did it with a loop like this. In other words, you come out, you drop it down, you make it go around this way, and now you put it way over here. Now when I tie that in there, if you did not tie it back with this crown would move back to stay over the roots. So we tie it here, the crown can't go back, so the roots go forward with this. And this is a track everybody ought to learn how to move teeth and keep them in a bodily shape the way they want them. So this is a very important picture right here. And this is the little deals that help rotate these teeth. But these brackets have what straight wire has in it. And I was teaching this without buying these expensive straight wire brackets. I could do it with anybody's bracket. So these might be Unitex or any other American Orthodontics, and I could do exactly the same thing. So they told me I had to quit calling my stuff straight wire because I didn't use their brackets. So I call it straight wise. It just is a better way to do orthodontics than the straight wire is. And this is what I want to get across to the people in our organization. This is the way we do it. And so this is a very important picture right here that you ought to learn. Now this goes down, you put your tie wire around the back of this, come up here and pull it. Now this will not go back. It'll go, as it tries to go back, it will pull this back a little bit. And it pulls this tooth forward, and it'll end up, this tooth will end up, this will move a little bit, and this tooth will be setting something like that. And the root structure would be down in here. Why? The people that I work with tell me this is too complicated or they don't understand what to do with it. And I am trying to get the people in our organization. Some of them are picking up a little bit, but this is, I have put it out here for 40 years or more. And are we going to have to fish around in the wilderness for another 40 years before we're doing orthodontics like it ought to be done? And I don't have much time left to get this across. So I hope that wherever you are, regardless, and if you're out there and you're somebody, I lectured on this for years and got several people I thought doing it. I think they are doing it, but I can't get people in our organization to start teaching straight wise orthodontics instead of straight wire orthodontics. And that's what I want to get across. Now you can see up above, we spread these teeth out, we line them all up. Now it's closed in, and the wisdom tooth comes in, and we've got a nearly perfect set of teeth there. When I get this all the way together, you've got to hold the upper molar up or it'll fall in the hole. So you make a retainer that will hold that up, and they have to wear that. Now here, the upper teeth here are coming in. They're bar extending this. They're all lined up. On the bottom, we pull this forward. There's a gap in here until the wisdom tooth comes up underneath that. So you got to hold that second molar up above till it comes in. Now, why do I have to bend over backwards and beg the people in our own organization to learn how to do this? That just gets me down. I don't have long to be here. And I wanted this company. I have worked with them from the beginning. This thing started 50 years ago, and even before that, and was working with these people. And I have lectured to it throughout the United States and in a lot of foreign countries to show people what could be done. And people look at it and say, this is too complicated. It's not that complicated. It really isn't. And it's what ought to be done. It's what ought to be taught in our universities. And we ought to teach pediatric dentists how to do orthodontics in the young people and let them go through and do whatever they can. Orthodontics ought to just be a part of dentistry. Everybody doing dentistry ought to know something about orthodontics, and even in the TMJ, they're learning about it. It should be taught too. So I'm going to shut up here in a minute, but here we go. This was what we finished out with this case. And here's the young lady's facial structure after we finished. And we won her dentist over. He realized we can do that. But he was thinking like a lot of people do. I'm not about to take out the lower 6-year molars. That helps. You got to pull these back, and you got to pull something forward, and you back and do it without taking anything, but you'd have to put some pins in there to hold it while you pull one back and expand the other one. And I thank you for watching this. I don't know where you are or who you are, and I appreciate you writing back. And if you're anybody that we had a lecture over the past 40 years, send us a little note and let us know who you are. And I've got nearly over 6,000 people subscribing to these videos. And we've got over 1,000 videos now. And I've covered every aspect of orthodontics that I could come up with or think about. And we found that teeth can be moved all of a person's life. It doesn't matter what race you are, anything else. You can have your teeth straightened at any time. And this is old bull about saying when you get 27 or 25, your teeth don't move and you can't have orthodontics. This is a bald-faced lie. I mean, your teeth can be straightened as long as you are living. I haven't started anybody in the 90s, but I think I could have my teeth straightened, and I'll be 97 in April. So I thank God has let me live long enough to get this across, and the YouTube came along. Thank God for it. And I have 3 channels on YouTube, and they stick these in Facebook and 2 or 3 other things. you can find out how to do this. And I've got enough stuff out there that I can be dead and gone, and the people will still see how to do it. So I thank you for watching, and this is the way we finish that lady up. And I'm going to close out here and say goodbye, the end of it. And here's a young lady changed. That's the end. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to close out now.